Those in the audience who don't know much about SECAF, let me give you a brief outline of who we are. SECAF stands for the Small and Emerging Contractor Advisory Forum. The organization was founded in 2001 to enable small and emerging government contractors to achieve maximum growth rates in a highly competitive marketplace. SECAF provides small companies with business resources, access to influencers and government agencies, advocacy opportunities, and education. SECAF also serves the medium to large government contractors, providing invaluable introductions to specialized small businesses that enable the overall contracting community to work successfully in tandem. Each year, SECAF holds its annual awards gala to recognize small government contractors that have demonstrated outstanding performance in a variety of categories, as well as large government contractors that have supported the small business community. We're putting on this webinar today to help those companies that submit applications for an award to absolutely put their best foot forward in completing their applications. The insights that we will share today come from inputs and suggestions we have received over many years from our award winners, our judges, and selection committee members and key SECAF staff members who have been intimately involved with the award criteria and the selection process. I'm joined today by several SECAF members who will take turns covering each of the award categories. First, Mark Moore of John Marshall Bank, a past chairman of SECAF, a co-host of the awards gala for many years, and a SECAF member who has been part of a select team that has developed and refined the award selection criteria and process since its inception many years ago. Second, we are joined by Devin Hewitt of Pro Torre Law and Dan Hampton, also from John Marshall Bank, both of whom are SECAF members that have been intimately involved in the awards nomination and selection processes. Each presenter will spend 3 to 5 minutes on their respective category, which should leave plenty of time at the end for your questions. The agenda for today will cover the key metrics for each award category and provide insights from the group on those elements that should be included in your application to enhance your chances of being selected as a finalist and an award winner. With that introduction, let me turn it over to Mark Moore to kick off the detailed parts of our discussion today. Mark?
Thank you, Jack. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. I'm going to cover the top 5 overarching principles that our volunteers have narrowed down for you as keys that will enhance your chances of having a compelling application turned in. And most of these will all relate to making your application stand out among a large pool of competing applications in each of the various categories. The first one is to present a compelling story of your company. The selection committee does review quite a number of applications in each category, and you want yours to stand out. So you should have the same level of enthusiasm as you would in submitting a proposal, for example, to win a contract. Engaging language matters a lot, and again, back to the idea that you are working in parallel as you would when you submit a contract for award. The selection committee members and the judges will be looking for your writing style and grammatical accuracy, and the fact that you have stuck with your themes all the way through each of the questions. So we encourage you to finish strong within each question that you're responding to. Discriminators will set you apart, and these are things that you should do to highlight your company's strengths and differences from your peer sets. Things, for example, like celebrating your clearances and different degrees that your employees and professionals have, or whether you're CMMI or ISO certified, proprietary tools that you have in support of your customer needs, or even your internal proprietary strengths, like a very sophisticated recruiting system, for example, or an HR policy, things like that. Teamwork is very important in life and also to SECAF in general. And while you're wanting to make sure that while you're celebrating the strengths of individuals within your company, it's most important that you are characterizing your company as a whole and as a group of team members all working together. So you do not want to overemphasize contributions by one person, a founder or a CEO or a president. You want to make sure that you are drawing attention to your entire team. Internal and external involvement is a plus. And similar to the previous comment, you want to articulate what your company has done as a whole for the GovCon industry, your community, and to create a good working environment for your customers and your employees. And again, we would encourage you to not overemphasize any individual's contributions, but rather your whole team and your whole company. And lastly, we take confidentiality very seriously during this competition. All of the information that you submit is handled with the strictest confidentiality and is not taken lightly. And you can count on us to continue to maintain our professional control of this information, and we acknowledge that there are a lot of sensitive details that you are sharing. With that, I will pass it over to my SECAF and John Marshall Bank colleague, Dan Hampton.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon. I'm going to go over some of the metrics that we look at for the government contract of the year for the $0 to $6 million revenue category. A lot of this Mark did mention in terms of the top 5 overarching principles that we're looking at, but specific to this category, the things that we're looking for really are the sustained revenue growth of a company. And in these categories, the ones that have been set apart are ones that really demonstrate a high double-digit growth year over year. It is a 3-year running average. And we're not looking to see, it's okay if you're a younger company and you might not have 3 years, but we're looking at what the growth is and what generates that growth and how you achieve that growth. Whether it is a use of preference programs such as 8A, SDVOSB, a hub zone, don't be afraid to let us know that those are there. They're almost expected when a company is a young emerging firm in this revenue category. Let us know the agencies you support. There are, we do put a little bit different weight on each one, but we want to know who you're involved with. Because it also will show us where that growth came from, because we all know where agencies are trying to spend their money year over year. Some of the core competencies we are looking at, are you in the cloud space? Are you in the mobility space with apps? Are you in cybersecurity? Let us know who you are. And don't just try to can it with just your website language or a slick sheet that you hand out. Really kind of give us an overview and let us really know who the company is. Give us a little bit of a deeper dive than that surface view. Do you already at this revenue stage, while it's not expected, do you have proprietary tools already in sight, in-house? Do you have CMI certifications? Do you have ISO? Do you have clearances? Just let us know who you really are. As Mark mentioned earlier, we do see a lot of applications. Really even just bring it down just into this revenue category. The judges will see a number of applicants, and while everyone is going to be qualified, it's really the ones that can set themselves apart by telling us who they are, by more than just what there is on the surface. That's really going to help us understand why you should be moving on past into the final stage. Don't worry if you don't have, there are questions on there about prime and sub mixes. Don't worry about what your mix is. The younger you are, the more we expect that there probably is a higher reliance on subcontract work. Like I mentioned, there's probably a bigger reliance on preference programs. It's okay if you don't have 10, 15 different contracts to reference in your application. We know diversity comes over time. Highlight the ones that really make you who you are. But again, really the overarching principles that Mark mentioned are really going to help us help you while you really tell us who you are as a company. And with that, I'm going to pass this on to Devin Hewitt.
Thanks very much, Dan. At 6 million to 12 million in revenues, we're looking for a greater definition in terms of the identity of the company. And that happens in several ways. We're looking again for growth. Growth is very important. Maybe not high double digits at this point, but still double digits. We're also looking for investment in infrastructure, showing that the company is maturing to a level where it has accounting systems, better than QuickBooks, but perhaps not sophisticated accounting systems, but a beginning in that direction. Business development. Smaller companies are not likely to have business development inside or in-house, but now we're looking for more commitment to business development, bringing that inside the company. A outreach for full and open work as opposed to set-aside work, and also investing in management and key personnel in your companies to allow for its growth. At this point, we're also looking for diversification in the agencies that are supported. Some of the agencies obviously are going to be in DoD, civilian agencies, and the intelligence community. We expect that there might be some emphasis in one particular agency, but we're looking to see that you're making outreach into other agencies and looking to expand the base of your contracts. At this stage, we are also looking to see that you are getting a little bit more prime work, or looking to get more prime work by putting in bids for prime work. We're also looking to see investment in expanding your core capabilities, again in the sophisticated or more sexy areas of cloud, mobility, and cybersecurity. And we're also looking for investment in the discriminators that at this point are necessary for your competitive model. Again, CMI2, applying for clearances, and other professional management, project management certifications. The focus is a little different when we get to the 12 to 25 million. At this point, we expect a far more mature company with a more clearly identifiable personality and focus. We're looking to see that the infrastructure that you invested in previously is actually in place, a true accounting system, a bid and proposal function for full and open work, just not set-asides, perhaps investment in HR and recruiting, and again, investment in management already in place. The diversification of agencies, we're looking for not only diversification across civilian intelligence community and DoD, but also a deeper bench in terms of the types of contracts we're getting into multiple customers, no longer a dependency on one particular client. We want to see the trend for prime contracts going up and the trend for subcontracts going down, again, to show that you're a more mature company that can be competitive. In particular, we're looking to see that the prime work ratio is hopefully greater than 50%. We'd like to see more full and open contract awards, particularly some larger vehicles, IDIQ contracts, GWAC vehicles, and a decreasing dependence on contracts coming out of set-asides or the preferential contract programs for smaller businesses. We hope that at this stage the core competencies are pretty much in place, that there is expansion that has occurred, and that again there's a more substance and contracts in these areas. And at this point we expect also that there are key discriminators in place that distinguish your company from some of the younger companies who are still trying to make this investment. Now for the Award of Excellence. Dan?
Thank you, Devin. For the Award of Excellence, we're looking at some key metrics. One is the company support, not necessarily just the individual leaders or the individual leaders management team, but how it is across the company. And the support is of different areas, whether it is the GovCon industry, how you help trade associations, other industry organizations. But that support comes into helping the community, charities, nonprofits. Whether they're corporate driven, where the corporation says, here are the one or two we're going to support, or there's a support around individually chosen areas for each employee to kind of find where they want to help support the local community. We're looking to see that a company has implementation of internal programs for the employees' advancement, their leadership, and their management training. This could be financial support of tuition, helping them find leadership opportunities, helping them get certifications they need so they can grow in the industry, but also in their careers. And then creating a balance of work and life. We all know how difficult that is, but some companies excel at it. And we want to know, really, why do your employees like working there? Like, what is the key differentiator to your business other than what is revenue generating? But what are those other life things that employees like that helps them feel involved, helps them feel they can grow, and really helps them be a true champion of your business? And one of the things I do want to mention about this category is this category is set up just for SECAF members. So there are a lot of excellent companies that are qualifiers, but they're not members. It's not too late to join. You can always become a member to apply, but this is set aside just for our SECAF members. But again, we do see a lot of applicants, and we do like seeing when the application shows the company as a whole as opposed to just an individual leader. And with that, I will pass it to Mark.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Yes, as Dan just said, rather than shying away from these two award categories, Award of Excellence and Project of the Year, we strongly encourage you to use this opportunity to join SECAF and to compete in either or both of these, along with the more quantitative Government Contractor of the Year categories, which are open to the public. So with respect to the Project of the Year, often these projects are initiated as an awarded contract in which the government client lays out its needs and requirements, and you, the customer, fulfills that. But where the finalists and certainly the winners have really distinguished themselves is that they do such a fantastic job with that assignment that the finished project really stands out, and the government customer makes it clear to the rest of the public that an extraordinary thing has happened, and it's really made their agency or their mission or particular initiative or project be so much more successful. So we are seeking game-changing solutions that you're providing to your customer. This will typically involve the application of a profoundly impactful proprietary tool or a certain type of technology or even a methodology that really has stood out and made a big impression on that government client. You're going to need some type of attestation from your government client that you have done something special here. So it could be a testimonial that they put out where your company and sometimes certain parts of your company or employees are cited. That would count as a validator. And often we get excuse me, letters or emails of testimony that are prepared for the application itself. And we recognize that that can take some lead time with the right point of contact at your government client, but you'd be surprised to see how many of those we do get with each of the applications, and I believe you will have success in getting that yourself. So that's going to be an important thing to distinguish your application from those that are silent on the validation piece. And we like to see repeat business from your customer that's directly related to the project results and or used by other government clients in a similar fashion. So those are kind of the highlights for the Project of the Year. And this is a relatively new category for us. I think it's just a few years old, and we've been getting more and more diversity in the applications between proprietary tools, technologies, and methodologies themselves. And we strongly encourage you to apply in this and the Award of Excellence. Now I'll turn it back to Jack, who will talk about Small Business Partner of the Year.
Thanks, Mark. Yes, our next category is the Small Business Partner of the Year. This is the category where we are looking for the large companies to apply. Before I get into the specific metrics on the slide, I'll remind you that the first question in the application is about company history. And rather than just talk about the fact that your company's been around for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years and what your company's done, try to tie your history in with the award category itself. As an example, if the large company who's submitting the application was once a small business that has grown into a large business, or was a small business that was acquired by a large business, based on your past experience as a small company, show in your application that you understand what smaller companies that are trying to grow must do to be successful. Now, the first metric really deals with the amount of subcontracting by the large company to all the types of preferences that small businesses have. Large companies today are reporting these statistics routinely to the government, so this data should be readily available. And what the judges are looking for is the fact that you cover the waterfront in terms of subcontracting to each of the different preference areas. Regarding the company's history of mentor-protege relationships in our next bullet, don't just list the ones that you've done, but also describe what positive impact your mentor-protege program has had on the small companies. Based on your help, for example, have they grown to become $50 or $100 million companies themselves and are now successfully competing on full and open contracts and are now becoming mentors of their own? What is the so what of your mentor-protege program? That's what we're looking for. The next two bullets deal with the large company's proactive outreach to the small business community, holding events, providing training, and other guidance to help small businesses prosper. I know as an example of one large company that holds an awards event for its small business subcontractors each year, where the top executive talks about what the large company does to really assist their small subcontractors, how they proactively look for new small companies to work with, and the seriousness with which they take their small business program, and then reward those small businesses that have excelled as their subcontractors. The next bullet talks about the large company being a subcontractor to the small company to provide deeper past performance and experience to help the small company obtain prime work. So we're looking for the situation where the street runs two ways. One where the large company is subcontracting to the small, and vice versa, where the large company is supporting the small as a subcontractor to them. Last but not least, there's a section in the application where the large company can tell the selection committee and the judges any special attributes about their small business program, including any awards that the large company has received as a result of their efforts supporting small companies. You may also want to list any awards that your proteges have received from your support. The last thing I will add is use the space allotted wisely. Don't repeat the same information multiple times in the submission. Try to use the space that you've been given to describe as much information as you can about what you're doing to promote small businesses in the small business community. And with that, I'll move to the summary. Some of this we've talked about amongst the various participants here today. The first bullet being, personalize your story, make it compelling. If there's something unique or special about your company or what you do, we want to know about it. Second bullet, as Mark said, the judges and the selection committee see a lot of applications. Aim to win. Right? Remember that in this case, you actually have bragging rights, so use them all. Also, don't quit on any of your answers. As was said earlier, treat the application like you're writing a winning proposal to the government for a contract. Next bullet, focus on company accomplishments. All of us are better than any one of us, so we don't want to hear about just what your CEO or founder may have done, but we want to hear about what the team, the company has done as a whole. And look at your company accomplishments across all award categories. Don't miss the chance to be a finalist in more than one. We've seen some smart companies out there that have submitted applications in several different categories to up the odds of their winning in at least one or more of them. So take all of that and all of the things we've told you today. When you're writing your application, make sure you bring your best foot forward and give us as much compelling information about your company as you can, because the competition is fierce. And we want you to be able to submit an application that really has a chance of winning. And with that, I think we'll open it up to questions.
We're going to go ahead and unmute everybody in the next 30 seconds, so just so you're aware of that, and we're going to open the floor for questions. We've already received one asking if the slides will be available, and the answer is yes, we will have recorded this, and we will share that information with you, both the slides and the recording, and we will also be posting that on the SECAF website as well, should you need to download that for future reference. Is there anyone else who has any questions they'd like to ask? We did receive another one online. Devin's going to address that one.
The question is that when you are looking to see which revenue category you fit in, do you compute revenues by looking at a 3-year average like the SBA does, or is it average annual revenues of the last fiscal year?
Yeah.
The answer to that question is it's last year's fiscal year revenues, 2015, that determines what category you fit in.
And stuff. So he has access. I mean, he's got VMware on there. So he's just playing with the VM for the census.
Are there any other questions from the audience? And also, we're picking up some background noise. If you'd be kind enough to mute where you are.
It was clear as mud. No questions?
All right.
Okay, well, thank you very